very first video. This is going to be the very first video on my new series called You Talk Too Much. And I basically decided to create this series because I realized there's a lot of things that I want to talk about that don't have to do with modeling. So this playlist is where you're going to find those things, because it's just going to be about things that I want to talk about and the fact that I probably talk way too much. So I'm going to start talking about some of those things on this playlist. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is being a vegetarian, because it's something that I get asked about a lot. So I thought, why not make an informative video about it, and not just about me and why I'm a vegetarian and how I did it and all that stuff, but also just about how anyone else can do it if it's something that you want to do. But first of all, I want to say that I definitely do not push vegetarianism on people. I don't think that it's something that should be pushed on people. I believe that the food chain exists for a reason, but for me, it was just a personal choice. And I don't think that like everyone should be a vegetarian, or you're a bad person if you're not a vegetarian, or like anything like that. I totally think that it's like a really personal thing, and I wouldn't push it on anybody. So this is just my story and why I like to be a vegetarian, and that's really it. I'm not trying to say everyone in the world should be a vegetarian. So I just wanted to put that out there first and foremost. Okay, so let's start out with when I became a vegetarian. I became a vegetarian about 7.5 years ago when I was in my last year of high school. I was fasting for Diwali, and I just sort of thought, you know, I wonder how much longer I can go without eating meat. And I sort of just went from there, and I've never gone back. It's been 8 years. I've never thought about eating meat. I've never thought, oh, I'm really craving a chicken burger or anything like that. I've never ever gone back to it. It's not something that I ever think about. And I think that's also because my parents are vegetarian. So backstory there, my parents are vegetarian. We are Hindus. In Hinduism, it's suggested that you don't eat meat because we believe that all animals have a soul, and so you shouldn't kill them and eat them. But, you know, that was my parents' reason for doing it. They did it for purely religious reasons, and they never pushed it on my brother and I. We grew up eating meat. We grew up eating mostly chicken, turkey, and fish. My brother sort of indulged in other Caribbean, like popular Caribbean meats like duck and lamb and goat and things like that. I never really liked that stuff, so I never really ate it. But my brother did, and my brother still eats meat. He's not a vegetarian, but me and my parents are, and we are fine with it that way. My parents gave us the choice of if it was something that we wanted to do, and when I was 17, I decided it was something that I wanted to do, and I've never gone back. And that's how it is, you know. A lot of people in my family eat meat. Actually, pretty much everyone else in my family on both sides, my mom's and my dad's side, they all eat meat, and it's just me and my parents that don't, and that's totally fine. We don't judge anybody for it, and that's not what we preach at all. So if you want to eat meat, girl, you eat meat. I do not have a problem with that. I'm totally fine with that. You know, it's not anything that I would judge anybody on. And I just want to make that very, very clear. Okay, so how did I become a vegetarian? For me, it was very much, for lack of a better term, it was cold turkey. I sort of just woke up one day and I was like, you know what, I'm just not gonna do this anymore. And I just didn't. And it was easy for me because my parents are vegetarians, so there was always vegetarian food in the house. If you're not like in a household where there's already a lot of vegetarian food, it's gonna be a lot more difficult. But for me, that was pretty much how I did it. Now, I do want to talk about different types of vegetarians. So you can have a pescatarian, which is where you still eat fish, but you don't eat any like red meat or any other types of meat. There's vegetarians like me. I'm considered a Lactoovo vegetarian because I eat things that are made with like dairy products, and like I will drink milk, although I don't really drink milk anymore. I drink almond milk, but I will drink milk or eat yogurt and things like that. I'll eat dairy products and things that are made with like milk byproducts. And I eat eggs. Again, this is something I'm slowly trying to like wean off of, eating eggs and dairy products, but it's something that for me, that's the side of it I decided to take very slowly. So I'm doing that, but I'm slowly doing it. So I still consider myself a Lactoovo vegetarian. And then you have people like my parents who are considered lacto-vegetarians. So they will like, you know, put milk in their coffee or eat pancakes, or, you know, sometimes they'll eat yogurt, but they don't eat eggs. They believe that eating eggs is wrong still. For me personally, that's something that people ask me a lot. They're like, oh, you're vegetarian, but you eat eggs, so you're not really a vegetarian. And to that I respond, yeah, I am. In my opinion, that egg was never alive. And that's just something that I believe. I don't believe that an animal was necessarily hurt. I always eat free-range eggs and like cage-free eggs and things like that. So that's the way that I sort of do it. But I am trying to slowly remove them from my diet. So yeah, but that's kind of my argument when people say, oh, but you're not really a vegetarian then. And I'm like, well, yeah, I am. I don't think that egg was ever alive. But again, that's my choice. It's a personal thing. And I think, you know, there are people that exist like my parents who don't eat eggs. So you know, it's different strokes for different folks. It's whatever you want to do. It's your diet and what you choose to do with it. And then last but not least, of course, there are complete vegans. So those people don't eat anything that have any animal byproducts. They eat a lot of nuts and beans and soy protein, and then of course like fruits and vegetables. And there are some really yummy vegan meals. I try really hard as much as I can to eat at least one vegan meal a day. And I have to say, like, I found so many yummy vegan restaurants in New York and also in Toronto, and it's really yummy foods. Will I ever be a vegan? I don't know. I'm sure, like, I'm trying really slow to sort of move in that direction. But for me right now, that's just way too much thinking involved in it. And I still eat eggs from time to time. I really love cheese and things like that. So it's gonna be a process for me. I'm trying to slowly move into being a vegan because the whole vegetarian thing happened really fast for me. So I'm trying slowly to do the vegan thing, but it's not something that I'm like actively pursuing at this time. Now, there are 3 documentaries that I want to talk about that for me really like confirmed and affirmed my belief in being a vegetarian. A lot of these documentaries are about being vegan, but for me they just sort of like confirmed to me that I was in the right space in my head when I decided to be a vegetarian. They're all on Netflix, and the first one I want to talk about is called Vegucated. It's about a woman who challenges 3 people to be vegan for, I think it was like a month or 2 months or something like that. I can't remember, but it's a really good documentary. And what I really like about Vegucated is it really informs you on ways to eat healthier and how there are so many different things you can eat as a vegan. People think that you're very limited in your choices, but you're actually not. You just have to think a little bit more about sort of more creative ways to, you know, involve fruits and vegetables and nuts into your diet. So that's kind of why I really love Vegucated. There's another one called Food Matters that I really liked because Food Matters really sort of pushes a raw vegan, like raw fruits and vegetables diet, and it really gives you a lot of health reasons and health benefits that you get by sort of living that kind of lifestyle. So that's why I really love Food Matters, and it just gives you a lot of really important statistics and like scientific facts about being a vegan. So that one's really cool. Last but not least, Food Inc. Food Inc. is also on Netflix, and it's more so about the like corporate side of like the farming and like meat production industry, meat processing industry, and it just gives you so many staggering like statistics and just informs you so much about how it's really only a couple massive companies that pretty much control the entire meat processing industry in the United States. So it's also just very interesting, and it also tells you a lot about sort of like the way that the animals are raised, and not just how they're treated, but just like the unhealthy conditions that they're put in that can affect them and then can affect you when you eat and how it's unhealthy for you. So again, I'm not trying to push this on anybody. I'm just saying those documentaries are there if you want to watch them, and they're documentaries that I really enjoy. Another thing that I really want to cover is protein. A lot of people ask me, how are you getting your protein if you're a vegetarian? Well, the truth is, if you do your research, you'll find that many meat eaters actually eat too much protein. Meat has a lot of protein in it, which is great, but meat also has a lot of fat in it, and it's saturated fat, so it's not good for you. So that's another reason why I sort of became a vegetarian. Like I said, it was for really discipline, animal rights, which coincided with my religious beliefs, and health reasons. And that was one of the things, was that I knew that although meat had protein, it also had a lot of things that weren't good for you. So when people ask me, how do I get my protein? Well, there's lots of different ways that you can get protein. A lot of fruits and vegetables have protein in them, and also beans have protein in them, nuts have protein in them, and soy protein is a really good supplement for me. So that's kind of something that I just wanted to address, something that people ask me about a lot. So, you know, just keep in mind that it's about having a balanced diet. Just because you eat meat doesn't mean that you have a balanced diet, because you can still eat meat and be taking in way too much protein. So there has to be definitely a balance in what you eat, and you really need to do your research about that. Another question I wanted to talk about, a lot of people assume that you are automatically healthy if you're a vegetarian. So to the flip side of what I was just saying, you can be unhealthy and be a vegetarian. You need to think about the snacks that you're eating. That's really where it is. If you still eat a lot of fried food and you're still eating like Cheetos and Oreos and salt and vinegar chips and things like that, you can definitely be unhealthy and be a vegetarian. Because a lot of the time too, being a vegetarian or even a vegan leads to eating a lot of carbs. Eating a lot of carbs and, you know, starchy carbs, really not good for you at all. So but without getting into all the science about it and having this be a really long video, the short answer to that question, can you be vegetarian and be unhealthy? Yes, you can. You really need to do your research and make sure that the things that you snack on are healthy things, and they're not going to be junk food, because junk food doesn't have meat in it. So you can be a vegetarian and eat junk food and be totally unhealthy. So the short answer to that question is yes, you can totally be a vegetarian and be unhealthy. And last but not least, so what is sort of my advice for people that want to become a vegetarian? If you're thinking about being a vegetarian, the first thing that I would say is make sure that you have good reasons. For me, again, my reasons were discipline, animal rights reasons, and health reasons. Those are my three main reasons, and that's why I think I was able to do it so quickly. Also, it was easy for me because there was always vegetarian food in my house. So you really need to make sure that this is a lifestyle change that you're ready to make. And you need to make sure you have good reasons to do it if you're ready to take the plunge. The second thing I would say is definitely do your research. Make sure you look up supplements and alternatives to meat, and make sure you do your research to find out, okay, what food groups do I need to eat? How am I gonna make sure I'm getting protein like I talked about? And all of those things. You need to really make sure that you do your research, because it's not that it's a complex way of living once you get into it, but if you're already so used to eating meat and eating that way, you need to make sure that you know what to do to move on properly. That brings me to my third point, which is that you need to think about how you're going to do it. Are you going to do a cold turkey? Are you just going to wake up one day and stop doing it? Are you going to cut out red meat first? Are you going to make sure one meal a day has meat in it but the other two don't, or whatever it is? And I think it also really involves knowing the kind of person that you are. Are you the kind of person that is able to sort of spontaneously do something and stick to it, or do you know that you're going to need to gradually sort of move into it? You know what I mean? So I think you really need to think about those things before you decide to do it, but once you decide to do it, if you do, I can guarantee you're going to feel better. Your skin is probably going to look better, and it's going to also lead to you making a lot of other good choices in your life. Like when I stopped eating meat, I stopped drinking pop, I stopped eating as much candy, I stopped eating like a lot of junk food, and I stopped like overeating and things, just little things like that. You're gonna definitely notice that because you feel healthier in this one way, you're gonna wanna make a lot of other healthy decisions in your life as well. So that's basically what I wanted to say about me being a vegetarian and just giving some information about it. I'm gonna also leave some helpful links below. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. Any questions about me being a vegetarian or about anything in general, I would love to help. Or if you have any other advice about being vegetarian or any other resources or anything that you can give me, I would really, really appreciate it, because I'm always looking for things like that. And yeah, that's basically all I had to say. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!